Welcome back to the Postpartum Prep Podcast. My name is Carradine. I'm your podcast host and your guide to preparing for a smoother start to life with your new baby. Here on the Postpartum Prep Podcast, we talk about all things preparing for life after birth. We talk about feeding your baby, we talk about sleep, we talk about mental health. And today on the podcast, we have Jenaveve. Jenaveve is a matrescence coach and motherhood mentor, and she is doing a Q&A for us on the topic of preparing for the emotional roller coaster of motherhood. Hi, Genevieve. Welcome to the Postpartum Prep Podcast. Or not welcome, because we just did an episode
Welcome
that
back.
everyone should go listen to. Welcome back to the Postpartum Prep Podcast.
Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here too. We've been having so much fun, and we did just record a whole other episode about mindset preparation, nervous system preparation for motherhood. So be sure to go check out that episode as well. Today, though, we're talking on this episode about preparing for the emotional roller coaster of motherhood. Genevieve, did you have anything you wanted to say about why is it even important to prepare for this, or kind of what does it even mean, the emotional roller coaster of motherhood?
Yeah, I think it's something that we hear a lot about when we are expecting and maybe don't understand all the ups and downs that are going to come with being postpartum, having a new baby, or even adding to your family if this is um, the second time or third time around. And the emotional roller coaster is like can be surprising if you're not expecting um some of the different emotions to come up. And I think it's just can be really helpful to kind of talk through that ahead of time and know what you might expect.
Yeah, and we had some questions today. I feel like, first of all, I feel like we actually covered kind of well some of those ups and downs in our main
Mhm.
episode. So definitely go check that out. But today we have some questions from you guys about on the topic of preparing for the emotional roller coaster of motherhood. And Genevieve is kindly going to answer these questions for us. So the first question was, is it normal to feel excited and terrified about becoming a mom at the same time?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a big change with a lot of unknowns, and it's normal to feel excited and like excited about meeting your baby and maybe excited about the birth and like all you're going to experience, and also feel nervous or terrified maybe about what is coming. Like those feelings are real, and motherhood is a lot about learning to live with that both and like the tension between what feels like kind of opposite emotions or feelings, adds in like you can be experiencing more than one thing at a time. You can be happy and sad. You can love your baby and being a mom and miss or even grieve your old life too. Like it's all in the realm of what is expected
And also normal and
and
acceptable.
normal. Yeah.
I feel like I liked this question and I wanted to ask this one with Genevieve because I follow her on I followed her for a few years now, I think, and this was something I think you had spoken about. I think you've spoken about several times on
Mhm.
your Instagram, and I think about it now actually like in my day-to-day life a lot, and I really benefited from seeing those posts that you had
Mhm.
made, and so I loved that. I thought this question was the perfect one to ask you. The next question is, what if I don't love every minute like everyone says I should?
I mean, I think this goes along with kind of the first question in a way. It sort of builds on that. Like we might expect ourselves to love every minute, or maybe that's, yeah, what you've heard. If people are telling you that, especially, I feel like this comes up a lot of times. People who maybe whose kids are grown now are the ones who are like, oh, you'll love, like love every minute. You should like treasure this time, which like yes, they're saying because now they have the perspective on like what it's like when you're no longer in it. But when you are in it, like it is okay to experience a full range of emotions, like, and getting really comfortable with allowing all of those, even those like uncomfy ones, and feeling them, like trying not to think your way out of them. Um, it is a big expectation to love every minute, but that might not be your reality. I mean, if it is, I love that for you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's especially like thinking back to the hormonal changes immediately postpartum and the lack of sleep, like it will likely lead to some crashing out over something um over something small, or like it could be something big, but all of that is to be expected. And I think the more we can appreciate our emotions as messengers and really think about, I just said, not to think your way out of the emotion, but we do want to be thinking about what is this trying to tell me? So that is what you can, even start practicing now if you are still expecting. And I think the other thing that you and I have kind of talked about, or like that goes off of another question that was suggested that we didn't answer, is like when to know if it is a problem, like that maybe you're not loving every minute. And I would say that if you are experiencing like persistent feelings of sadness, or even just like that, like meh feeling about everything, or like anxiety or rage that troubles you and like is affecting your daily life, like those are signs that you could benefit from speaking to a perinatal mental health specialist, finding someone with specific training. A therapist with specific training can be so beneficial. And you don't have to wait until it's like bad enough to get that help or support.
I love that note. Thank you. And something that you had said actually made me think about our previous episode and talking about matrescence
Mm-hmm.
and how matrescence kind of gives us some language to explain what we're going through. And I spoke about how it could help us to, or we kind of both spoke about how it can help us to express it to ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
to the other people around us. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with just like accepting and validating in yourself and feeling
Mm-hmm.
out what you are feeling and knowing that it's okay to have that full range of everything that's going on. But if you want to hear specifically about the matrescence side of things, make sure to go and listen to the full episode on that. The last question today for our Q&A episode is, I already feel pressured to be the perfect mom. How do I cope with this?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And thinking about this before becoming a mom is like amazing, because I think so many of us enter motherhood and then realize that we have all these ideas about what it means to be a good mom. And then if we feel like we're not measuring up to them, that's when we can get kind of mean to ourselves. That's when we're judging ourselves. That's when we think, everybody else is doing better at this than I am. So already recognizing that pressure to be the perfect mom is really coming from outside of you. Like it's not pressure that you are putting on yourself. It's really these like external expectations, um, whether it's from like what you learned or saw growing up, what you think society expects from you. Like the perfect mother myth is just like so pervasive. We see it everywhere and we think like we should be able to be that, but it's a myth for a reason. And that we can have, high standards for ourselves, of course, but we really need to be clear on uh, like our own values and where we want to put our focus and our effort the most in our motherhood. And that is going to, you know, serve us far better than trying to reach this like perfect ideal version um, of ourselves.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, just like you said, there really is no perfect mother. And the perfect mother doesn't exist. And all that really matters is, I think, being the mother that you are. And
Hmm.
like that's the most special thing is who you are.
Yeah.
It
And who
was
you want to
definitely,
be,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and who you want to be.
Like you may not feel like her, like this, like the mother you want to be in the beginning. And that's okay too. But knowing like who you want to be as a
Mm,
mom and making sure that that's rooted in like what is really true for you, like as you said, like who you are,
hmm.
um, that's, yeah, that's what's going to be most helpful.
Yeah. I feel like this was like honestly, I feel like I kind of unlearned this perfect mother myth when I was already about like a year into motherhood,
Hmm.
but it really changed so everything for me when I stopped having that like constant guilt and like constant
Hmm.
thinking in my brain of like, oh, I should be doing XYZ differently and like actually just like resetting to like who am I and what is my
Hmm.
reality? Who is my baby? Because that's another big part of like
Yeah.
how you show up in motherhood is responding to who your unique baby is. And
Hmm.
um I think I also think so many, you know, in the main episode I asked you like if you could go back and say to your pregnant self, like what would
Hmm.
you tell her? So many people answer that question by kind of saying like just not to have so much pressure on themselves and just like
Hmm.
focus on being more present. And sometimes that doesn't look like what we envision the perfect mother to be, but
Hmm.
then kind of when we look back, we think it was never about trying to be perfect. It was always what mattered most was kind of your
Yeah.
presence with your baby and with the moment. And
Yeah.
um,
Well, and it makes so much sense that we would want to be like this perfect version of ourselves for our baby because we like just
yeah,
love them so much. And
yeah,
it's like I want to be like the best for
yeah,
you. Um, but you know, your baby doesn't need the perfect mom. They need you.
yeah.
And like you are uniquely suited to your baby. And like as you said, temperament plays like such a big role as well. Like who you think you're going to be as a mother and who you actually are, likely has a lot to do with um
Your baby's
like
temperament.
yeah, your baby's
Yeah.
temperament and how it actually feels to be a mother to that specific baby. And I think what can be especially hard in modern motherhood is our access to social media and like what we see while we're scrolling. I know like in my experience, I saw a lot of like yeah, like perfect images of what motherhood could look like babies in or toddlers even in like these matching outfits
Mhm.
and you know, like families smiling and seeming like they're just like everything was going so well for them. And then when my experience felt like much messier then that's yeah, when we start to question ourselves. So recognizing that what you're seeing on social media is not the whole picture, like those are like a moment in time. Um, and and maybe you don't even know what's happening like outside of that immediate frame or like what was brought into that moment.
So
Um,
true.
and also when we see like we follow so many different types of accounts, and so like there might be the mom who's, you know, like making all these like beautiful baby-led weaning meals for her baby. There might be the mom who's like crafty, you know, sharing ideas for like how to play and like sensory ideas and things like that. And, you know, the list could go on of like all these things you might see, and our brains don't really separate them to realize these are all individual people. Like that is
Mm,
their thing.
yeah,
They enjoy doing it. Like that's what they've landed on. That's, as you said, like that's who they are as a
yeah,
mother. So no one is doing all of that.
yeah,
But like we see it and we think, okay, I have to be doing like the meals, the crafts, the like sensory bins, the, you know, I have to be like dressing my baby in these ways or whatever, dressing myself. Like I follow all these like outfit inspiration and I was like, wow, like they look so put together.
yeah,
But that's because that's what they love. Like they love
yeah,
fashion or they love these ideas. And it's okay if like that's not true to you in your season. Um,
yeah.
And
And it's like the things that
it's
you
so important to
would
remember.
prioritize
Yeah.
versus what other people prioritize. I also
Hmm.
think one big thing for me was like, especially when it came to like the perfect mother thing, is like I followed one account in particular where her children were actually older, like at
Mm-hmm.
least 2 years older than mine. And so I was always comparing myself to her. And now,
Mm-hmm.
I have a 2-year-old now. I am like, the capacity that I have now as a mom of a
Mm-hmm.
2-year-old is nothing like what I had as a mom of a 12-month-old. And also, like, all the things kind of I was seeing them do, those are not a 12-month-old might not need those things in the same
Right.
way. And like I kind of was always judging myself because we weren't doing the things that they were doing or but it was just we were just living such different lives in many
Yeah.
ways. Yeah. And the perfect mom, yeah, I think social media is a great thing to mention because it does give us like this image of what a perfect mom looks like. Like we literally can
Mhm.
see what we think this perfect mom
Yeah.
looks like. And constantly, especially I know so many
Right.
people are breastfeeding their baby all day and just kind of scrolling in Instagram and you're seeing just this onslaught of
Yeah.
perfect, but also social media. And I'm sure you can relate as someone who also like uses social media, like kind of to create content.
Hmm.
A lot of what you see on social media is so not like it's very kind of staged sometimes.
Hmm.
Not always, but it can be, especially when it's like actual content creators. I'm sure a lot of their stuff is
Yeah.
somewhat staged and at least and we're comparing ourselves to this staged idea. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, it's no one like that's a lot of pressure, especially
Hmm.
when you're a new mom.
Yeah, for sure. I think you made such an important point there too about like thinking about how the age of your baby and how far you are into motherhood and that
Hmm.
that's all going to influence how you actually can be and what you are going to be doing in that different stage, how much capacity you have, whether you may be sleeping in like a totally you may be sleeping
Yeah,
a totally different amount of time than
yeah.
another mom. And even if you are like find yourself comparing to um other moms with babies your age, like again, it may be like maybe their baby is sleeping more, maybe their baby has a different temperament, maybe they have more support
Hmm.
from family, or they have a nanny or something that you're not seeing. So even if it's not on social media and you're like seeing people at the park or a restaurant or wherever else, and you find yourself kind of making up these stories almost about them and like what their life might be like, um, because yours by comparison doesn't seem like it fits that, that's where, you can see this myth popping up again, of a
Yeah.
perfect mother and kind of catch yourself and say, wait a minute, like I don't know her full story. And, I need to focus on my own.
Yeah. We never know really kind of what's going on. Um, yeah, when they're in their own home and you're not there and they're kind of
Mhm.
doing their day-to-day life and it could look so different from what your day-to-day reality looks
Yeah.
like. Yeah, comparison is like such a big trap, isn't it? In the
Hmm.
early in motherhood in general.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk about this all day and I feel like this is like I'm just thinking like this is like the conversation that I needed when I was like in the first year with my baby. But we do have to wrap up now. That was the last
Mhm.
question. But if you want more of Genevieve and me, head on over to our last episode. Like I said, we were talking all about mindset prep for motherhood. We touched on matrescence. We talked about nervous system regulation as a mom. Um, all really great, helpful things I think that I would have really benefited from if I'd heard before I had my baby. So head on over there. Next, Genevieve, before we end, can you let us know where people can find you if they want to learn more from you or work with you?
Yeah, so my website is a great place to start. That's amamafriend.com. It has a blog as well as a free audio resource. And people can find more information about working with me on my website. And then I'm also active on Instagram and Threads. And you can find me there at a mama friend as well. And that's AMA friend. I know people spell mama differently, so I feel like I gotta say that. But you can find me there. And if you've listened to this episode, please send me a DM and let me know.
Amazing. And I will also make sure to link all of Geneviève's all of Genevieve's links in the show notes. And if you are listening today, thank you so much for listening. And if you would like to submit a question for a future Q&A episode, be sure that you're subscribed to my email list because I share all our upcoming Q&A topics in my email newsletter, and you'll also get updates about new episodes. And you can subscribe to my email newsletter by downloading my postpartum prep checklist, which I will be sure also to link in the episode description. If you're new here, also, please make sure you're following and subscribed. And if you would like to leave a review, that would be amazing because that's what really helps the podcast to grow. And I just really want to share all of this with all the new moms out there who could benefit from this conversation. If you know a new mom, or if you know a pregnant mom or expecting mom, or even grandparents sometimes could benefit from this kind of conversation. If you know anyone that would benefit from this conversation, please feel free to pass this episode on to them. And otherwise, I will see you in the next episode. And thank you so much again, Genevieve, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.